everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Emily, and today we're starting reading vlog 2 of October of me trying to read these 18 books off of my physical TBR by the end of the year every month, and we are on to book 4 for the month, and that is Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. I have read, it hasn't been a full week of the month yet, because the month started on a Tuesday and it is just like Sunday evening now, but I did finish the 3rd book this morning. However, I did read 2 out of 3 of the largest books I have to read this month in the past week. So this is a little bit of a palate cleanser before I go into the longest book that I need to read this month next. So you'll see that when I get there, but this is Ali Hazelwood's newest release. It is a feminist novel, but it is more of a spicy romance than she usually writes. She does write spice into her books, but they're not like overly spicy. I guess this one is, so we shall see. But I think this is like a workplace romance where there's a little bit of a hostility between the two characters, but there's also an attraction. So we'll see. I'm gonna go lay down, I think, and read this because I am a little tired. I was out doing fall things today. I was very excited to do that, but now I just kind of want to lay down and not do anything. So gonna start this, and I'll update maybe later today with where I end up before the full week starts and I have to go to work tomorrow. So talk to you guys soon. So I'm like just over 50% of the way through this, and it's definitely more of a physical relationship. I knew that going into it, but it's a lot heavier on the spice than her books have been, but there still is like a little bit more to it. I don't know. I'm more interested in what is going on with the takeover with the company, because I feel like something big's going to come out about that, and that's what's going to change the trajectory of her feelings for him, I think. But I think he has feelings for her, like more so than just like the physical feelings. I think he's trying to tell himself that that's just what it is. But the way he thinks and talks about her and everything, and the fact that it's like her there's personality traits that he says he likes about her too. You can tell that he's already like, he likes her. I assume they're going to be together at the end of the book. I don't know. This could just be a purely physical relationship. I don't know. But so far, it's really just them trying to tell each other that they don't want to continue this, like, it's not an affair, but, you know, physical relationship, because they are at odds with his investment company trying to take over her company that she's working for. So that's about it. And not much, like, super in-depth to talk about, but I don't hate it. It's just definitely different than her other books that I've read. So I probably will just update again when I'm done, and we'll move on to the next book. Happy Monday. It's Monday Night Football. Go Taylor's boyfriend. I actually am a Kelsey fan. This is ironic. But anyway. Finished up Not in Love last night. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I know that it's a lot spicier than people are probably comfortable with, and that their attraction and the way they talked about each other was definitely more physical based than it was emotional, but I think it definitely got there. And I think that it was just perfect for them, and the way they interacted, and the way their minds were, and the way their history was with everything that's gone on in their lives. I think that the story was perfect for them. And I guess maybe I just have low expectations for romances, and if I feel the connection between the characters, which I very much so did in this book, I'm gonna think it's a decent romance. So definitely liked that more than I was expecting based on other people's commentary. And I am now 125-ish pages into Queen of Air and Darkness, Giant Brick. This will be the longest book I've read this year so far. It is 870 pages. So very happy to get this one off the TBR, not only for the month, but in general, because it is a chunker. But I also am kind of sad that this trilogy is going to be over, because I've thoroughly enjoyed this trilogy. I'm very frustrated with one of our main characters right now, but I knew that this was probably coming because of the storyline and the way I see it going. But I think it's going to get resolved. But right now I'm just very frustrated. But I'm also excited because we're at a turning point in the plot that I think is going to be very exciting. And this whole book is just, everything moves so fast in this. It was very sad, the end of the last book going into the beginning of this one. It has been a very tragic storyline that just kind of got, I don't want to say completed, because it's not something that you can just say it's done, but it was wrapped up a little bit more just now. So we'll see how it goes, but I love these characters and I love this story, and I hope that it doesn't disappoint me with the end of this. But I will update everyone a little bit, maybe later, maybe I'll just come back tomorrow because I'm not going to finish this tonight. So I might just wait till tomorrow and update you on any feelings or what I can tomorrow. I am sad, but I am also happy. But I'm sad because this is now over. And I loved this series so much. Highly, 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 highly recommend. Definitely read the Mortal Instruments first, though. I don't think you'll get as much out of this if you don't read the Mortal Instruments. You can read it as a standalone, but I don't think you'd get as much out of that. But we'll talk more about that at the end of the vlog. Next, I'm going to read The Only One Left by Riley Sager. This is a Lizzie Borden-esque retelling. I don't want to say retelling, but it seems very Lizzie Borden-esque because it's about a woman who is the only survivor of a mass murder of her family, I believe. And she was accused of killing them. Like, everyone thinks she did it, but they've never been able to prove it. And now she is like older and can't speak and everything. So she has this person come to her house to take care of her and decides that she's going to tell this new caretaker her story. But since she can't speak, she does it through like letters on a typewriter, I think. So very excited to read this. I've been waiting to read this since it came out. And then I waited for it to come out in paperback. So it's been like over a year. So I'm finally excited to knock this one off my list because anything Lizzie Borden, sign me up. So I'm going to start reading this and I will update probably tomorrow. But so far this week has been great. It's taken me almost 3 days to read this brick, but it was worth every minute. It has been a day. I started The Only One Left last night and I'm actually like 60% of the way through this. It's like such a quick read. Fast-paced, short chapters, perfect type of a thriller, and it's so twisty. Like, I have no clue how it's gonna end. I don't even want to like speculate because I know I'm gonna be wrong because I know he's gonna twist this ending into something that I don't even see coming. So I have about 120 pages left, 130 pages left, and I do plan on finishing this tonight and hopefully getting a start on the next book, which is a book I want to finish before I go on vacation. I do leave in like a day, so I'm gonna try to read that before we head out, but we'll see how that goes. It's a very short book. It's only like 320 pages, so it shouldn't be too bad. But I'm gonna just fly through the rest of this tonight, and then I'll update when I finish with the last book, hopefully. But I do have some stuff to do because I have to pack and I have to do laundry and, you know, be an adult, so I can't read quite right now, but still early in the evening. I just gotta get some stuff done, and then I'm gonna sit down and just binge the rest of this book. So I'll talk to you all in a little bit. So just finished The Only One Left, and I did not see this ending coming. Like, the twist did get me because I thought it was going one direction and it definitely didn't. And the way that he tied everything together in the end was just like so perfectly done. Definitely one of my favorites I read from him. This was my 4th book from him, and it's probably up in the top 2, I'd say, for my favorites from him. So excellent thriller, great vibe for this time of the year too. Like, this was just like that spooky, eerie, creepy vibe the entire time, and I loved it. So that is done. And now I'm gonna move on to the last book I want to try to read before I go away, and that is The Lost Story by Meg Schaefer. And this is like, I think like a magical realism-esque book about something similar to Narnia, where these 2 boys go missing and then they eventually do come back to like the real world, and only one of them remembers it. And then years later, this girl comes looking for them because her sister's missing, and she thinks the same thing has happened, and she wants them to help her find her sister. So that's all I know. I think that's the premise based on what I've heard, but I really enjoyed The Wishing Game by her. And when I saw she was coming out with another book and I saw it was a book of the month pick, I definitely was like, didn't even hesitate adding this as my choice. So very excited for this one. I'm gonna probably start it tonight because I still have laundry and stuff that needs to be done that I'm waiting on. But I'm hoping to finish this by tomorrow evening so that I don't have to take a physical book on vacation with me, but we'll see. I will update you all tomorrow. Okay, so this will be the last update before I close out the vlog, which I may have to do once I'm actually on vacation without the books because of the timing of this, but I'm about halfway through, a little bit less than halfway through The Lost Story by Meg Schaefer, and the basic premise of the book is that there are these 2 boys at the beginning that are missing, and this couple is out in the woods on a hike, and the boys just like miraculously appear, and then it cuts to like years later, and one of the men is like I don't know what to call him. Like, he finds people when they go missing, and specifically like girls. He goes and finds girls that are missing, and he has a very good track record for it. Basically, like, nobody understands how he can always find the people he's looking for. And then the other one just kind of like lives off the grid because he doesn't remember what happened when they were missing, but the one that finds missing girls does. And then a woman approaches Jeremy, who's the one that finds missing girls, and says, like, I found out my family member has been missing for years, and I just want I want a conclusion on what happened to her. So what he describes and where the girl went missing is the same place he went missing, and he thinks they could be related. So he goes and finds the boy that went with him, and now they're all three going to try to find this girl's family member. That's the basic premise. I literally just got to the point where they're on this adventure now. So I don't know where it's gonna go. I have some thoughts about it based on some other details that have happened in it, but we'll see. It's interesting so far. It's a pretty quick read. It's very short as well, so I think I will finish it tonight. It's just I'm not gonna be able to film a wrap up until we get to our location tomorrow, but I will talk to you all then. Okay, time to wrap up the vlog from week 2. I started the week with Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. This was like a STEMinist novel, but it was like a workplace romance where they were kind of forbidden because they were from two opposing sides of a company takeover, and it was more of like a physical attraction book. I actually really enjoyed this book. I think a lot of people were turned off by the amount of spice that's in it because Ali's books are not usually as spicy as this one was. But as someone who doesn't mind spice in a book, I actually didn't mind it at all. And I ended up giving this book 4 stars. Probably like a 2.5 on the spice. It was pretty physical, I would say, as a love story more so than emotional, but there was an emotional aspect of it, and I think that gets overlooked a lot when I hear other people talk about it. I thought that it was going to completely just be like a physical attraction, but I think that he definitely felt more of that, like a emotional attraction to her and connection to her at the beginning, and it took her a little bit longer, but I don't think that it was just purely physical in my view of how the book went down. So that was 4 stars for me. Then the second book I read was Queen of Air and Darkness, and that is the 3rd and final book in the Dark Artifices trilogy from Cassandra Clare as part of the Shadowhunters universe. And this follows a group of Shadowhunters from the LA Institute and them fighting again. It almost ends up being like 2 different storylines in one. So without going into too much detail about what happens in it, there is a pretty big conflict that happens in the 3rd and final book, and you're getting more of the 2 main characters and how they're going to move on in their relationship and everything. That's more center focused in the 3rd book, and I adored this book. I loved this series. The 3rd book was a 5-star read for me. It is my favorite Shadowhunters series in the universe so far, so we'll see. I know that the new series that is coming out in 2026, I think the first book's scheduled to come out, is going to be characters from this book, but it's going to focus on some of the characters that were more side characters than main characters, but it's still the same family. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then the 3rd book I read was The Only One Left by Riley Sager, and that was a Lizzie Borden-esque reimagining where a woman was said to have murdered her entire family. She was the only one left, but there was never enough evidence to convict her, so she got away with it essentially and became a recluse and lived on her family estate on the top of this cliff. And this caretaker who's kind of getting a second chance ends up being assigned to her, and they have a little bit of a connection because of like what the second chance is, but there's a lot of twists and turns. Like, you never really know what's coming in this book, and the ending was just so well done and so twisty and like chef's kiss perfect that even when you thought you knew everything, he still hit you with a few more surprises at the end. So this was a 4.25. Really enjoyed that book. Probably my favorite Riley Sager I've read so far. That or the Middle of the Night book, the newest one, have been my favorite so far, and I think those are his 2 newest ones, so that could be it. Maybe he's just developing more as an author, I don't know, but I really enjoyed this one. And then the final book that I finished out with was Mick Schaefer's newest release, The Lost Story, which is also kind of a reimagining, but it's more Narnia-esque. There were these 2 boys that went missing and were gone for like 6 months and ended up being found again in this forest that they went missing in, and weird circumstances obviously surrounding their disappearance and their reappearance. and one of them does not remember anything that happened while they were missing, and the other one does. And he goes on to become a professional people finder. I don't really know how to describe him. Like, he does search and rescue professionally now, and he has like a really good track record on being able to find people, and he focuses only on finding women and little girls. There is a reason for that that comes out later in the books, and this girl comes to him on the set of like one of his newest like interviews or something. I can't remember if it was an interview or like an actual TV show, and asks him to help her find her sister that went missing in the same forest that he did 5 years prior to when he and his friend went missing. And then there's a big unraveling of the story from there. I did not enjoy this one as much as The Wishing Game. I felt like it was a little too fantastical and like fan fiction-y and a little bit too much for me. So I only gave this a 3-star. Like, it wasn't bad, but definitely was not as good as The Wishing Game, which I absolutely adored. I think I gave that like 4.5 stars. So a little bit not as great as her first release was for me, but still an interesting story, an interesting take on like a Narnia thought of a story. Can't all be winners. So I still liked it, but I will definitely be a little bit more cognizant going into her next book, because she's 50% right now for me, one for 2. So something to keep in mind. But that is all for week 2. I will update more during the week 3 vlog of how my TBR is going for the month. That is now 7 books, I think. Yeah, I think 7 books, so we're off to a good start, and I hope that I can get through all 18 of these before the end of the month. But stay tuned for vlog number 3, where I will be reading on vacation, which is where I am now. Hopefully quite a few books, so we'll see how that goes. And I thank you if you've made it this far. If you like the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you've read any of these books, want to know more about them, let me know in the comments below. And I hope to see you all in the next video.